concern, and then we've asked them to modify the plan for the medical to comply with those. So those are the two issues.
Thank you. I think they are quite serious issues.
Yes, they are.
And one which the council should be aware of. And I think having incident reports attached to these would be beneficial. So is there any further questions on our health and safety report? Just Ian, sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Just a comment really, Her Worship, myself and Councillor Mark Livingston attended a health and safety workshop, a presentation by Simpson Greaves in Hamilton a week ago, which was really beneficial. What it highlighted was that none of us in this room as elected members can brush this under the table or not take an interest in it. And it's basically a requirement that every one of us is actively involved in health and safety. We must take ownership of it. There is a,
I just ordered you the ODS.
Yeah, what they Jackie. So if you haven't got them, I would suggest you hold a Jackie or one of us and we'll forward them to you. So there's quite imperative that you do take an active role in it, and it's more than just a cursory glance. So although we're not likely to be, or we can't be prosecuted under the Act, we still, that doesn't remove us from that obligation. So have a read of it and be actively involved, and if there is further training, get in as part of the requirement as well. So
Thank you for
that's
that.
very, very good.
Yeah, health and safety is an extremely important issue for all of us. And it's not just ticking boxes, it's about culture. And it's a culture of health and safety throughout an organisation, driven from the top. And if it's important to council, then it becomes important to the executive and it flows down through the organisation. So I can impress upon you that it's a culture, not just a ticking box exercise. I'm sure that's what they would have enforced, that you have an obligation to drive that culture in the organisation. So thank you for that, Councillor.
There are still concerns about what's happening with the putaruru, because the gentleman spoke about some of the issues this morning, and the whole system doesn't seem to work very well. We were told in the previous report that remedial action that we proposed had been okayed by WorkSafe, but again, I didn't mind seeing it because I can't believe what they were doing would have been approved as safe, or whether they just, if it had been carried out wrong. But it seems a very still quite a risky. I just wonder whether we should be seeing the policies and the process and procedures sort of in relation to that. So that we can identify risks in that, because we don't seem to ever have an opportunity to contribute to either a health and safety risks analysis or a general risks analysis, whereas normally in an organisation, governance would also contribute to the process of identifying risks, and we don't seem to have that process.
And I think you have a right to demand those health and safety reports. Mr. Anderson, are you going to respond to that, please?
Yeah.
Two ways. One, I think the response was two questions. Three actually. Three questions. One, there still seems to be issues with regards to the operation. Second issue, has it been audited by WorkSafe? And third, are those reports available to councillors? Could you please respond to those three questions?
Yeah. Yes, there is opportunity to improve the health and safety of the site. We're actually have undertaken a recent investigation. We're waiting on the report. The report has not yet been received, which is going to identify further issues. The responses we've done in the past have been in response to the incidences that have been raised. So it was a quick fix to deal with that particular issue, and those have been signed off by health and safety as being appropriate. So the responses to the incidences are okay, but there are much wider issues that need to be dealt with in an all-of-site approach to health and safety.
And I think we need to drill down a little bit on that too, Mr. Anderson. If it's all-of-site safety, what are you doing about that?
You'll get the reports.
Waiting for the
assessment was done with externally and with environment here, and that report's due.
Yes.
When is it due, Mr. Anderson?
It was actually due the beginning of this week. I've just received an email from the person doing the report to say they've been unfortunately delayed and they'll get to us as soon as possible. I'll push them for a firmer date and I'll let you know if we don't come back.
Thank you. They didn't have a work accident, did they?
No, illness in the family.
Thank you. I think instead of waiting for the next agenda, Mr. Anderson, I think that should be pre-circulated to councillors, so that if we do have accidents or safety issues, I think we should keep the councillors informed and not wait 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 months before they're informed of issues. Health and safety is important, and councillors should be informed of near misses and rectification of those near misses.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, at the health and safety elected members meeting that we attended, they recommended that we be receiving monthly health and safety reports, and as this committee only meets 4 times a year, we wouldn't be meeting that threshold at all. So that was the recommendation, and another things that are in there actually is a health and safety component in the agenda every time, and anything that needs to be raised is raised there. So I support that recommendation. I'm not sure whether or not we need a motion to include that at our council meetings to actually look at health and safety issues and then give the information. I don't know who sets our agendas.
Yeah, my personal belief is that I actually don't like being told after 3 or 4 weeks that there's been a health and safety issue. I want to be told now, so that I can do 2 things. One, as a governor or as a person responsible, take appropriate action. Second, I'm not surprised when someone asks me, or the press asks me what's going on. I'm fully informed. So personally, the committees I'm on, I agree with you, there is a safety and health part of the agenda and it's important. But if there is an incident, I want to know now. And I would suggest that this council will be the same, that if there is a close incident and there's work safety involved or a report that is coming, that be circulated to you immediately, and that it be included on the agenda later for further action. Are you comfortable with that process? Councillor Dale?
I'd just further like to say that if we happen to notice something that we perceive to be a risk, that there's a process that we can formally notify the staff that there is a risk there, and that we can be presented with something along the lines of risk analysis and some preventative action. You know, what the process is, which is we don't seem to be happening.
Just want to does the council have chief executive requests to councillors?
So that's the service request process, or just the process and the service request.
I mean, members of
Just
the
wrote an
jury.
email, which is what.
I think the rule should be not to individual staff. I think you should email your chief executive, because the chief executive is accountable and responsible for the implementation of health and safety, and all direction should go through the chief executive.
I think sometimes members have passed, notification of a perceived risk, but then nothing else is heard, so we don't actually know if it's analysed and whether, remedial, processes being put in place to, eliminate, minimise and isolate.
I'm wondering, Mr. Anderson, most of the stuff will probably be in your area, and I do know you are quite good at initiating process. I'm wondering if we can have an interim measure of the stuff going out, and I'm wondering through you, Mr. Smith, that Mr. Anderson, you can get together and form a little process about how to notify councillors, how councillors notify of incidents that makes it effective. And I don't want to wait for the next order of risk committee, it just goes to the next council or whatever it goes.
It may be outside of local government services, but all the board meetings I go to is always on the first agenda, and there's a much more sort of a formal way of doing it. So we have a TRIFA score and all the other companies I see, so it's total recordable incident frequency rate, we have a target, it presented with here we are versus this target. Personally, it's not a bad suggestion, Mr. Stelbro, for us to get an email saying that somebody else is at a close shave at the pool or somebody else is being fallen in the tip. doesn't really, you know, like I want to come here and say, well, here's our targets for health and safety, here's how they're managed. You know, there's red and green lights and sort of a bit more. So to do it properly and have tripper, for example, or so incidents per million man hours, another way you can do it. We might not have millions of man hours in the council, but you might know how the local authorities do it. But to me, you know, reviewing individual incidents and saying, well, it's what can you do? You know, you sort of get confidence in your staff. We not everywhere else, I don't know, you got a few boards, you hear that kind of stuff too, where they actually.
Yeah, we do. And when I was in my national CEO role, obviously we had 187 websites. Last week we unfortunately had a death of a YMCA up in Auckland that was under control of the Auckland Council. And they actually have an app. And we're trialling and, you know, that would be a good app to be told of what's happened. There's lots of different traffic light systems that you can use. I guess we just need to rely on Mr. Anderson over there to come up with
I do know Mr. Anderson's good at traffic lights.
Yeah.
From personal experience, and that's what the process I was asking for, Councillor, so that we actually get a bit more robust around the whole look, not just instance.
Another option which we could adopt given we're all out and about, so the Trinity Lands Group was balanced. We have a system where directors regularly, so 2 or 3 times a year, will go and inspect facilities owned by the company. So it sometimes ring up staff at either the Tiro fertiliser sites just in there and going up and come to inspect your health and safety stuff. So you review his documentation, you say, tell me about your hazards, what are you doing about it? Not in local government law, you were telling me about the other day, but in corporate law, if I have not personally verified that what has been said in the board meeting about health and safety is actually done on the ground, and this is a big thing, the IOD, you know, and so we're getting all these new guidelines, but we may operate under different legislation. That's not a bad way of doing it. So we could have a councillor go to the wastewater system or to the putaruru council bell or whatever, and you have a regular program, and then so it's minuted and say, I visited it, I saw the documentation in health and safety, I verified independently in my own mind that people on the ground are actually doing something about it, and you know, that's the culture we have, and then you have the tripper schools and other things. So it might not work in local government, but I don't.
More difficult.
It's a bit more difficult, but to me, just having an email saying, well, somebody did something at the tip, or somebody had a close shave with a drowning in the pool, I mean, what do you do?